Hey guys, thanks for watching 205 Kitchen. This is my new channel. You know, I already have 205 Outdoors and 205 Outdoors podcast. I've put several cooking videos on my outdoor channel, and the more I got to thinking about it, I was like, you know, I just really want to keep that more outdoorsy type stuff, and you know, hunting and fishing. And I do love to cook, so I decided to make this channel, which is going to focus more on just in the kitchen kind of things, recipes that we do. And I hope you guys enjoy it. Today I'm going to be making a pasta dish. So for the first recipe on here, I want to do is just my basic pasta recipe. Now bear in mind that today I'm going to probably be making a little over, I think this will be 8 servings that I'm going to make. Enough for 8 servings. We're going to have this probably 2 days. It's just a really good dish. It's easy to make, and so I'm going to make enough pasta to kind of double it, almost double it. So what we're going to need first is about 360 grams of all-purpose flour. Now, when it comes to flour, I always measure this with a kitchen scale. You can get a flour scooper, or not flour, but a measuring scooper, and for a cup. But the problem is when you scoop that flour in there, it tends to pack and it gets way more dense. And so, especially if you're making cakes or anything like that, it can make it really dense. But even with pasta, it can throw all your ingredients off. You may need a little bit more olive oil or a little bit more. We're going to go with just measuring it or weighing it. And so it's going to be 360 grams, and this is for 8 servings. We're going to need 4 large eggs. We're going to need about a tablespoon and a quarter, roughly, of olive oil. And then about a half a teaspoon, of I'm using kosher salt. Now, here's the thing about salt. If you're using like a real fine salt, table salt, you're probably going to use a little bit less than that because it's not quite, the flakes aren't quite as big as the kosher. So just be aware of that. Let's get started. Okay, we're going to start off with our flour. I'm going to go ahead and, like I said, for this recipe, I'm putting in 360 grams. So I've zeroed my scale. A little bit more. So close. Right there. 359. I'm gonna have to let that. Okay. I think we're good enough. We're gonna go with 359 grams. Point whatever that is. Now, next, I went ahead and cracked my eggs. So this is 4 eggs. We're gonna go ahead and toss them in. Now, the reason that I didn't just crack them straight into the flour is if you break a shell into that flour, good luck ever finding it until you bite into this crunchy shell. So next, we're going to have our olive oil. And there's 1 tablespoon. You can see that. And that's the good thing about this. I mean, it really, and I'm going to go with, you don't want to go too much. I'm going to go, it's about another little low, right around a third, quarter to a third. So a tablespoon and a quarter tablespoon. And then for salt, sorry, I don't have my GoPro with me right now, so I'm just going to do it this way. For salt, we're going to do about a half a teaspoon. That's about a half right there. And that's it. I mean, that is your ingredients for pasta. Stay tuned. All right, so I've got my dough attachment on my KitchenAid. I'm just going to get this started. We're going to go on low. Let's let this thing work. And I'm going to give you real time on this too, so I'm just going to let it continue going until it makes natural dough. It's going to take a few minutes. Now, if you were kneading this is going to take, maybe 10 to 15 minutes. As you can see, this is already starting to form. It's not like the KitchenAid. It's going to want to move a little bit. I'm just going to put my hand over top of it. This pasta dough is going to be a little bit more dense than like bread, so you may have to hold on to the top of your KitchenAid. It's got the little locking mechanism, but I still hold on to it. It's good in there. So we're about a minute and a half into this. KitchenAid came unplugged there for a second. I don't know what happened. Anyway, we're back up. This may need a tad more olive oil. I'm just looking at it right now. I'm going to add just a little bit. I'll find my olive oil. There we go. So I'm going to go crazy with this, but maybe just a splash. About that much. So let's get this going. It should be okay. Just about there. Probably good now. I'm just letting it go a little bit more. There we go. See kind of this into. I think our dough is ready. All right, so our dough is now out. I'm just going to put a little bit of flour on this top. I'm just going to knead it a little bit more. Just make that a little bit non-stick. I think we're probably good right there. I'm just going to knead it into a little ball right here. Hope you can see that. And so, a little bit more maybe. That feels pretty good right there. There we go. I like that. So if you look at this dough, when I press in on it, so it sort of comes right back out. Lets me know that this is ready to rest. So I'm going to get some saran wrap, and we're going to wrap this up, cover it for about. All right, now our dough has rested for probably, I don't know, 25, 30, at least 30 minutes. Yeah, a little over 30 minutes. So we've had adequate rest time for it. Now we're going to go ahead and start rolling this out. So what I want to do first is cut this into, actually, normally I would do quarters, but since I double it, I'm going to do eighths. I guess that's right, eighths. So I'm going to cut here. There's one. There's two. I'm going to cut it here. These are all going to be rolled out. said 8, so I may be a little bit off on that. But 2, 4, 6, 7. Yeah. One of them may be a little bit larger. Anyway, get this out of the way, and I'm gonna, well, tell you what, as I roll these, I'm gonna keep the remainder covered. Be right back. All right, so we got our first little ball of dough. So the first thing I want to do is roll this out. This is the KitchenAid attachment. This is the actual roller. So today the recipe I'm going to be making fettuccine. So I have a fettuccine cutter, and I also have this roller. So we're going to start this roller out on the first setting, which is setting 1, and it just basically, the KitchenAid it attached. It's pretty simple. Set that there. We'll attach in this way. Slide just a tad if I don't knock it off this counter. And so our roller's ready. We're on, I don't know if you can see that, but there's setting 1. Each time I roll it, I'm going to do another setting. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Probably to setting 8. I'll probably roll this pretty thin. We're going to start with setting 1. So what I'm going to do first is just kind of coat this in just this little piece and a little bit of flour. I don't want it to be sticky. If it gets sticky, it's going to get hung in those wheels, and so we don't want that. So I'm going to mash it kind of flat. And this doesn't, this doesn't really have to be perfect. If you notice anything I cook, I'm probably not the guy to go to for the perfect stuff, but this does come out really tasty. So I'm just going to kind of, make sure that you have coat it with a little bit of flour just so it's not sticky. You don't want it to be clumps of flour, but about like that, so that you can, and you have to do this several times, so just be aware of that. So I'm going to turn my mixer on. We're going to go in, we're going to let it go through the wheel, just so you can see that. The finger's free. I'm just going to take the folder down like this. We're going to go again. I'll do this a couple of times. Try to even this out a little bit. So that looks pretty good. I'm going to do a little bit of flour dust here on both sides. Now we're going to go to setting number 2. And here she goes. Setting 3. Trying to do this in film. So setting number 3. Again, watch your fingers. Don't lose your finger in this. So right here, I'm going to add a little bit of dust and the flour. Again, you want to make sure you do this pretty regular, so that it does not get sticky. If it gets gummy and sticky in there, it's going to stick to the wheels, and you're just going to have a big mess. So this is setting number 4. Number 5. So we're starting to get a thinner pasta now. Setting number 6. I'm doing this in real time, so I want you to see all the steps. The 7 may actually be enough for this fettuccine. I'll have to see. I like to, yeah, we may go all the way to setting 8. We'll see how much pasta we get out of it. And this is just one sheet. Keep in mind there's, I think I have 7 sheets that I divided. I didn't divide them as evenly as I intended to. But this is setting number 8. So this is going to be really thin. You want to put your hand in there to kind of help it along. Catch here, and you can almost see. Hope you can see that my palm through that it's really thin. So we're just going to kind of lay this out right here. Turn this off for the time being, and come back just a little bit, and we're just going to sort of again coat it. And this is the point right here where I like to cut it into the lengths. Now I know that traditional fettuccine may be really long, but I just personally, and I kind of eyeball this, but we'll say 8-inch pieces, 8 to 10-inch pieces. We'll go 10-inch. And these are just my sheets. Now I'm going to cut these into fettuccine later. I'm just going to make sure that these are coated with flour again, because you're going to stack these up And if you don't coat these right, when you go to stack them up, they're going to get stuck together, and you're gonna have a mess, and that's going to be really frustrating. So always make sure you coat these well with flour, and both sides. Of course, this side was sort of laying there, so it is already coated pretty good. All right, so we're going to go. So we did like 10 inches, and again, this does not have to be perfect. I'm just probably being a little extra right here. So that gives us 3 sheets roughly the same size. This one didn't come out perfect, but it's there. I mean, it's pretty close. I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of these balls of pasta, and then I'll be back in a minute for the fettuccine. But anyway, this is our pasta. We're getting ready to, I'm going to attach this is the fettuccine cutter. I'm going to attach that on here now. And so the roller will come off. And fettuccine will go on pretty quick. And again, you can do all this with just regular hand rollers. It's just, I've got the KitchenAid, so why not use it? All right, let's get started. And this is just our fettuccine cutter. And these are some of these are going to be shorter than the other ones, but they'll all taste the same. So it's going to go in. I'm just going to hold my hand up under it like that. And so I've got these fettuccine noodles now. Hope you can see that. I'm going to set them over to the side. Again, we're going to make sure this is all floured. Of course, the sheets are already floured, but you just don't want them to sit like that for too long. If they're not floured and they're kind of, pasta itself, because of the egg and everything in it and olive oil, it can get kind of wet, and you don't want it to just clump together. So always make sure that you dust it really well with flour to keep that from happening. Trust me, from experience, it's a bummer if you have a bunch of clumps of pasta sitting there because you forgot to do that. Just gonna hold my hand out and catch, and we get all this ready, and we'll get ready to start making the other part of the meal. All right, so as you can see, that made a lot of pasta, and I'm just gonna kind of dust a little bit more flour in here just to make sure it doesn't stick. I keep saying that, but one time, it's probably been a few months ago, I made this, and I don't know, whatever reason, some of it stuck together, and it was a nightmare. It didn't taste right. The whole meal was ruined. So you don't want to do that. Just toss it. I mean, you don't want to overly flour it, but I mean, you just don't want this to stick together. So this is perfect. Just like that. Now again, this is double the recipe, okay? So this is, well, almost double. It's about 1.5 times, actually, is what I'm making. Normally I would make a 6 serving. This is probably 8 servings. Anyway, this is my pasta recipe. Again, we did fettuccine today. I'm getting ready to do the Tuscan chicken, and I'll probably just go ahead and do a video for that while I'm doing this, and you'll kind of see the whole meal come together. And this is a Sunday, the 7th of July. Thanks for watching. 205 Kitchen.